AQ's Blog and Grill.
Hi, and welcome to AQ's Blog and Grill. Very excited today to welcome our guest, Guy Kawasaki. Guy is Skyping in from California. Welcome. Guy Kawasaki, 12 books. You're doing a lot of speaking. You've got Garage. You're a venture capitalist. But you've described yourself as a father just making a living by speaking and writing to support his family.
Yep, that's me.
That's it. And you're comfortable with the fact that you're now the second most famous Hawaiian.
We don't count Barack as a Hawaiian.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
He wasn't born there.
Okay. Okay. So, Guy, you get your degree at Stanford in psych.
Yep.
And then you apply to UC Davis for law school.
Yep.
So what happened?
Well, I actually got into that one. So the following fall, I lasted about 9 days. I hated law school, so I quit. And I went back to Hawaii, got a job. Eventually, I came back to the mainland to go to UCLA for an MBA. While I was there, I started counting diamonds, believe it or not, for a jewelry manufacturer.
Right.
And then my Stanford classmate showed me Macintosh, and I fell in love with Macintosh and eventually got a job there, and the rest is history.
Yeah, so I think at one point you said it was like a religious experience.
Yes, seeing the Macintosh for the first time was a religious experience, definitely.
Now, the time that you spent with the jewelry company, what did you learn there that helped you as an entrepreneur?
Oh, I learned arguably some of the best lessons there. I learned how to sell. Entrepreneurship is very simple. Somebody has to make it, and somebody has to sell it, and somebody has to keep the wheels on the bus. And so that's it. That's all you have to do, you know. And so I learned how to sell. The jewelry business is about selling.
All right. You know, it's funny. I teach in an MBA program, and yet there's no courses on selling, but there is on entrepreneurship. And I'm thinking there's got to be both.
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurship is about 50% selling. The easy part is writing the business plan and making the PowerPoint and even, arguably raising money. The hard part is making the sale, and that is the most important part. And if you are making enough sales, you don't need a business plan. You don't need PowerPoint. You don't need anything. Sales fixes everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you've had some great advice to entrepreneurs about their presentations and their pitches. Your 10-20-30 rule is fabulous, but why aren't business schools picking up on it?
Maybe that many of the people teaching those courses are not entrepreneurs nor investors. Right. And so I don't know, if they think 60 slides is what it takes, they're 50 off. Less is more. I mean, basically in life, less is more.
Yeah. So when you're sitting in an audience or at a presentation by some entrepreneurs, what is it that you are looking for as a venture capitalist?
I am primarily looking for a product that I've fallen in love with. It's kind of, it's that simple and yet that complex. It's hard to explain, exactly why or what, but it's along those lines. It really, truly is along those lines.
Yeah, there's something magic, I guess, that happens between the relationship between the founder, the product, and then the investor. It's almost like voodoo.
It's like falling in love, and like falling in love. Two men could meet the same woman, and let's say this woman, has two teenage kids. In fact, make it the worst case, two teenage boys.
Oh, gee.
And so, one man might say, oh my God, I don't want to get in a relationship with this woman because look at all this baggage, instant family, two teenage boys, who wants to get involved with that? Right. Another man might meet the same woman with the two teenage boys and say, wow, I love this woman. I think it's so great she has kids, and this is just, I couldn't be happier. So same woman, same kids, same everything. The same thing is true with companies, that one investor could look at a company and say, well, they don't have a world-class team. They don't have a proven market. They don't have a proven business model. And another investor could say, wow, this is really a lot of potential. They have some, there's some hair on the deal, but if it were perfect, they wouldn't need me. And you could fall in love with the same deal. So I think that's how it works.
Okay. bootstrapping versus getting VC funding,
Yeah.
Series A or whatever. What's happening there? Do you think too many people are trying to get right into the VC market too
Well,
quickly?
to me, the VC market, I think VCs only fund a few thousand deals a year, and obviously millions of companies start a year.
Right.
The VC market is a very different game. It is a game where you're trying to create the next Google, and without being on crack, you can see that you might be doing, I don't know, $200 million in 5 years. So that eliminates a lot of businesses, such as consultancies, retailers, restaurants. I mean, I'm not saying any of these businesses are not going to be successful. I'm just saying the venture capital game is for something that is going to be the next Google. And so that eliminates a lot of companies.
Sure.
Now, luckily, today, most of the things you need as an entrepreneur are free or cheap. So tools are free or cheap. People, virtual teams are, I don't know if they're cheap, but it's not like before where you had to rent a building and bring people in and all this kind of stuff. So commercial real estate is less necessary. There's incubators, and then marketing is free or cheap with Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus and stuff like that. So as you go down the line, oh, and you don't have to buy servers and racks of stuff because now you use Google Drive or use S3 or use Rackspace or
Hmm.
something like that.
Right.
So basically, if you go down the list, everything is free or cheap, so you need less money. So that's why venture capitalists are less necessary.
Right.
And then, to really do your company right, you should bootstrap or you should use Kickstarter or Indiegogo and get that first round that way.
Right.
Venture capital is not what it used to be, and
Hmm.
it's kind of like crack. I mean, or like cocaine. Not that I've ever done either of those things, but it's an addictive thing. But
Yeah.
eventually, it's going to kill you.
Yeah. So, you one of the things you're most famous for is being the evangelist for Apple.
Yeah,
And how do you think based on the social media, which you are a maven of,
yeah.
uh, how would that have changed the world for you as an evangelist? Is it just that much easier now to?
Yeah, I think it would have been easier to evangelize Macintosh with social media.
Mm.
This is, of course, assuming that Apple would have let me do what I would do on social media. And, today Apple is antisocial, right?
Mhm.
So who knows?
AQ's Blog and Grill.